Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to CCSSO's Growing a Nation of Problem Solvers, a summit on math outcomes. I want to thank all of you for joining us in the room today, and for those of you joining us on live stream as well. This afternoon's program is a special event during CCSSO's legislative conference, and we chose to open this summit to a broader audience given the importance of the topic. Our goal is to dive more deeply into the evidence-based report that we published back in November and illustrate those 6 key state levers in action. As we convene here today, we have the benefit of research on how to support student learning in mathematics. Most notably, in 2006, the National Mathematics Advisory Panel conducted a detailed analysis of the available evidence to advise on improvements in math education. The panel reviewed more than 16,000 research publications and reports and analyzed survey results from nearly 800 algebra teachers. In 2008, the panel released a final report with a set of recommendations to improve math education in the United States. You'll be able to see some of those key actions behind me on the screen. Since that time, states have worked to meet students' needs in math. And the results on the state assessments and the most recent NAEP scores underscore how much more work we have to do to meet our students' needs. On the most recent Nations Report Card, the national level, we saw 4th grade students perform better than 8th grade students. However, a further look into that saw a widening gap for the lowest performing students. We have research that shows our path forward. We have committed state education leaders who understand the importance of math for all students. And those leaders are working with their state and district partners to improve student math outcomes. Just as our organization took the lead on evidence-based literacy 5 years ago and continues to press into evidence-based literacy practices today, CCSSO is supporting our state members on math to make sure that every state and territory has what it needs to improve math outcomes for kids. So we've divided this summit into sections to highlight those key state actions to illustrate both already important successes, but also some promising efforts underway. It's important to learn about the work in states and couple that with research from our partners, who you'll hear from throughout the rest of the afternoon. So let me dive into those actions and give you a landscape for what you're going to hear this afternoon. The first 2 actions, which are incentivize adoption of high-quality instructional materials and incentivize district partnerships with high-quality professional learning providers. We'll hear from Arkansas about how they're indicating to districts which materials meet the definition of high quality and coupling that with curriculum-based learning experiences. The third action is connecting and aligning supplemental and intervention learning experiences to core instruction. We'll get to hear from Utah and Alabama on how they're supporting districts in the alignment and in the interventions. And then our partners at Renaissance will share their research on learning progressions. The fourth action is support districts in streamlining assessment systems to leverage real-time student data. We'll hear from Indiana on how they're pursuing assessments that help inform teachers' instruction in real time. And after that, we'll hear from Edmentum on what they are learning about creating an ecosystem of assessment and learning and ways to use assessment to better inform instruction. The fifth action, which is expand early access to advanced math courses, we'll be hearing from Washington and Georgia on how to increase access for all students. And after that, we'll welcome the National Math and Science Initiative to share some of the research on building skills that will lead to careers in STEM fields and supporting teachers. The sixth action is aligning state education agency resources to support implementation, which will be embedded throughout all of the previous 5 activities. Our final session today will focus on data and how that data can be used for continuous improvement to better inform policy, practice, and instruction. Our friends at SAS will join us for that conversation and share more on their research and learnings on how longitudinal data systems supports strategic priorities, especially informing your math policy. The size of our audience, both here in the room and online today, tell me how many people are committed to getting this right for kids. We collectively want to foster a generation of critical thinkers and problem solvers. I hope what you learned today will help propel the work in states and across the education system. I want to again thank you for joining us, and it's my pleasure now to turn it over to CCSSO Board President and Alabama Superintendent of Education, Eric Mackey.
Well, thank you, Carissa. It is great to be with all of you here today as we kick off our Math Summit. And as Carissa mentioned, I have the privilege of helping to guide us through the summit this afternoon. I'll be joined later this afternoon also by Jonathan Moore, who is the Chief Strategy Officer at CCSSO, who's going to be co-facilitating the afternoon summit. Before I go further into my comments, I'm going to ask all of you to say this with me. Repeat after me. I am a math person. Great. So state leaders across the country are interested in mathematics and even maybe, hopefully, a little bit excited about it. I know my colleagues in other states are thinking about this, but we also know it's not just chiefs. We're hearing this same conversation from governors, board members, parents, district leaders, and state legislators. They're all eager to take action to improve outcomes. In fact, based on the National Conference of State Legislatures, 51 bills have been introduced that include mathematics in 21 different states so far this spring. And I'm certain that the interest peaked when we all saw the NAEP results just a few weeks ago. All of us in this room share a belief in the ability of our children and a desire for them to improve their outcomes. We want to learn from research. We want to learn from the efforts of our colleagues. And we see that there's a real need to focus on mathematics. And that's why we're here today, to continue the conversation about what we should be focusing on and what actions we can be taking. And I'm glad we are not just rudderless in this conversation. As Carissa said, today we will use CCSSO's recent math report, A Nation of Problem Solvers. You can access it with using this if you haven't downloaded it or you will need to see it again. You can use the QR code to download that as we go through these actions this afternoon and also certainly when we return home. You can also follow along with us throughout the day, and we are going to have some goals for the afternoon. So here are some goals for us today. First, we want to know what matters most. We want to know which things we should be focused on. And we're here to hear some good ideas about actions we can all take home with us. I want you to leave here energized and excited about mathematics, and I want everyone to go back thinking, I am a math person.